There's no like bread and butter channel that is going to work permanently into the future. You have to constantly reinvent yourself. And the biggest learning that I took away was product market fit nowadays has like finite stamp when it comes to a period of time that it's valid for. You got to constantly reinvent your product and constantly be paranoid essentially because the market is changing, new competition is coming about, the dynamics are changing. You can't rest on your laurels. You got to be constantly innovating like at a faster pace than ever before. I think it's really beneficial for companies like ours because I think our team's, competitive advantage is the ability to move quickly and ship quickly. It's combining gut based on like your intel and context of the industry and tribal knowledge with some data to act faster, ideally, than anyone else. Not getting into analysis paralysis of like having everything planned out and shipping something that may be imperfect, but using that as leverage to learn quickly and iterate quickly.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast, where every week we hear an amazing story from a serious founder who built a valuable software company and did it without big funding. I'm your host, Greg Head, and this week my guest is Joseph Lee, the co-founder and CEO of Supademo. Supademo is a 2.5-year-old, fast-growing, practical software company doing it in the modern AI-powered product, AI-enabled company, and the speed freaks of doing it fast, growing very fast, with just a little bit of funding. It's his second company. He had a previous SaaS company, but now he's getting on the Gen AI wave to redefine that old demo industry, make a software demo for us that can be created and edited and interactive and branded in minutes, not days, weeks, or months like it used to take. So we're going to hear his perspective on how he's doing it fast, lean, and really amazing results for his customers as a Gen AI-powered practical founder. Hey, Joseph, good to see you. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Greg. Excited to chat.
Yes. It's another Friday morning here. You're in New York City. Is that right?
I am. It's very cold.
Yes, it's been a cold year there. What part of the city?
I actually just moved out to Brooklyn. I'm in the Supademo office today, which is in Midtown, so 23rd and basically Madison Square Park. But I myself live in Brooklyn.
So people still do that. Take the subway over and schlep on up and take the elevator up and get in a WeWork or whatever it is up there.
Oh, yeah, that's part of my daily commute. I actually kind of like it. I might be the minority, but I like it.
I kind of like it too. It sets the stage for, the game that you're going to play, right? And then you get to be around other people. Do you have team members that hang out in the office with you?
Yeah. So we co-work often. So we're unique in the case that we're fully distributed. So we have like a team of 18 people, but we have clusters of people in New York, in Toronto, Kansas City, Korea, India. So we don't get to work together all the time, but every quarter we'll just get together and have like 7 or 8 of us kind of bond, have dinners together and work together. It's just fun.
And how many people on your team? Is that your whole team? Or?
Yeah, that's the whole team, 18 people. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you kind of went the opposite way. Like in the last 5 years, founders have kind of scattered and gone remote and don't do the office thing, right, to save money or save time or something like that. But you grew up in Vancouver. You weren't born there, but like you did a startup there, then you moved to New York City and you commute across, and get into the fray. Like, you're going the other direction.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I love Vancouver, and I love Canada as a whole. But for me, I think my philosophy as a founder is to go where the market is. Building a business is so hard, right? It's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Why make it harder by being in an area where you're just going to get less lucky? There's less customers, less market. So I think I wanted to just be in like an area where I could have more surface area to, grow with the market and get lucky.
And is that a factor of ambition? Ambitious people want to be around other, let's say, world changers that are going for it. New York, right?
100%. Yeah. No, whether it's New York or San Francisco, I think just having ambitious people around you, I think it just forces you to think bigger, right?
I agree with that.
See other people and you're like, wait, this guy or this gal who's not very different from me, is building something incredible. They're not working harder than me. They're not more
Isn't that
ambitious than
amazing?
me. Why
Right.
don't I just think bigger?
There you go. It is the funny thing. People get from all over to Silicon Valley, and then they can literally get off the plane and then, I guess I'm gonna make $1 billion company, they say, right? Like, the ambitious change, it's in the water,
Yeah.
and I see that. It's not for everybody, but I totally get it here. You're on to your, second software startup. I know you've had many entrepreneurial ideas and ventures, and you're a pretty young guy as well.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about your current, venture, which is pretty practical, these days. It's called Superdemo. Why don't you explain to the audience what Superdemo is, and then we'll talk about your company.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah. So Superdemo, it's an AI native, AI powered interactive demo platform. And we help companies across software and even in non software industries create kind of exceptional product demos that they can use in onboarding, for sales, for enablement, a lot of different use cases. And they can create these in minutes instead of hours. And really, the reason why I created Superdemo, it was to solve my own itch, having been a business builder for a long time. Product demos, creating product content, creating
Oh,
onboard
yeah.
content. It's part of the job, but doing so today is extremely labor intensive. It takes a lot of takes, retakes. You got to record yourself. I hate the sound of my own voice. And it's constantly out of date if you're a startup because your product is constantly changing. So, having dealt with that problem firsthand at my last company, Freshline, and previously, I knew there had to be a better way. And it was one of the problems that I kind of kept in my back pocket and built after I transitioned from that first company.
Okay, so, you're selling to software companies, presumably, that do demos, whether it's the the demo or the demo that gets emailed or here's your onboarding, how to get through that demo,
Yeah.
or a custom demo for a sales prospect, right, you just interviewed, and it does it better, stronger, faster than, I guess, the old screen recording way we used to do it, or get somebody to make something really fancy, almost a click-through kinda demo. We both know Melissa Kwan, any webinar that records a more interactive kind of long-form discussion. There's all kinds of ways to do it here.
Yeah.
Does AI-powered, AI native, does that mean you put your product into a prompt and give it some more qualifications and interrogation, and then something spits out? Or does it look like real software and it just is magical with AI?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways. What I mean by AI native, the platform itself, it can function without AI, but AI amplifies the value of what we
Okay,
deliver
right.
out to our customers. So things
Yeah.
like being able to simply click through your workflow and feature, and Superdemo capturing all of the steps, turning it into a step-by-step demo with the annotations. So you don't have to write down what each screen is. Will infer what you're trying to do, what you're trying to
Okay.
demonstrate. It'll annotate it. And yeah, you can also do things like translating it into multiple languages in a second. You could put AI voiceovers. You can also have like programmatic rules using AI. So if a customer is going through the demo, but they want to see a different feature, they can actually interface with our product and get specific demos or specific answers or questions answered using LLMs as well.
So there's annotations, and is that whatever, choose your own journey, is that part of a prompt or a button or a click through on the screen? Click here if you wanna
Yeah.
see this kind of thing?
Great question. Yeah, it's totally up to the discretion of the person creating. So you can have buttons, you can have forms, and based on those forms, based on the answers of, say, company size, you can direct them to different things. You can also showcase a list or collection of demos that people can kind of choose at their own leisure, and you can have a text-based interface as well. So we try to make it flexible depending on kind of the use case and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay, so that's everybody knows the demo, everybody's been doing it, but it's a pain, we don't do it too often, but, give us a sense here, you're coming into a let's say, an established market, people know what it is, people are Googling it, it's been around for a long time, there's a lot of players, a lot of do-it-yourselves, what you've got an audience of SaaS founders here.
Yeah.
What is actually magical about this on the benefit side? Like, why would you come into a crowded market, and what's so amazing with, I
Yeah.
guess AI enabled, the new magic trick?
Yeah, so I would say it's not directly competing in the screen recording space.
Okay,
We're
great.
kind of operating in a nascent, newer category called demo automation or interactive product demos. And I
Okay.
would say the main problems or the main benefits that it solves for are twofold. On the creation side, as I prefaced and talked about earlier, creating demos is really hard. It's essential not just for salespeople, but people in customer success, people in training, people in marketing to demonstrate the aha moment, but also for
Uh-huh.
salespeople to do follow ups and to do
Yeah.
prospecting, et cetera, et cetera. But creating the content, first of all, is extremely time intensive. So, coming up with
Which
a
means it almost never gets done, right? Like
yes,
once a year
exactly.
and all that. Yeah.
It
Uh-huh.
takes days, if not weeks, right, to complete. So that's the first
And
thing.
so what are we talking about here, Joseph? Is this like I just got off the call with the prospect.
Yeah.
They haven't seen the product yet, but they mentioned this problem and I want to highlight this feature. I'm a sales guy. Can I rip something off by clicking through that corner of the product and maybe talking over it and then have it create a slick, edited, annotated, voiceover kind of thing in minutes? Is this what we're talking about?
Essentially, yes. And the
Okay.
benefit there for the audience is, no one wants to watch a 15-minute video. They just don't have the attention span. So it's a very passive experience typically when you're watching a
Right.
video
Mhm.
versus when you create this click-through experience that emulates your
Okay.
real product. People are hands-on, they learn by doing, and it's a lot more trackable because you can see where they're clicking, where they're falling off.
Okay, so it is that whole interactive world, and you
Yeah.
say, "Click here and try for yourself." And,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about all that. Like,
Cool.
in product led, you get them into your product, right? And,
Yes.
you kinda skip the demo and let the product speak for itself, and,
Yeah.
but there's probably all kinds of new use cases that we didn't think of now that it's 10, 50 times easier to create this thing, and it's a little different. Is it used in onboarding and I don't know, what else?
Yeah, yeah. I would say the stratification, we're always surprised by how many different odd use cases people use it
Yeah.
for because we have, over 150, 160,000 users worldwide, like marketers, founders, operators, training people. So we see like odd use cases, but I would say the main pillars that we see most often is on the sales end, you do the demo follow-ups, you use it for prospecting. You can create one demo and personalize the data using AI for hundreds of
Personalized
different
demos, right? Yeah.
exactly, without the effort. On the marketing side, a lot of people put it right on their homepage or on a feature page because your marketing lingo is never as clear as you think, right? You're
You
like,
think?
"Okay, people understand it," but no, they don't. So, best way for you to get them to understand is give them like a 6-click demo of the actual product and get them hands-on without having to sign up for an account or book a demo with a
Okay.
salesperson. And then on the third being CS, so onboarding, training, academies, and your
Okay.
support docs, knowledge base, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. And, so we just talked about it here. It's something that people can
Yeah.
check out in the audience. Where can they find this real quick?
Yeah, they can go to supademo.com, SUPADEMO.com.
Excellent. Okay, great. And presumably they can get a demo, try it quickly, do you have like a freemium and low price model all the way up to
Yeah.
enterprise,
So
all
we
that stuff?
we
Yeah.
we reverse trial everyone into our highest tier plan. So if you want to come in and actually see all the bells and whistles and try out all the premium plan features, you can do so without a credit card for 14 days. If it's not a fit, actually 90% of our users are on the free plan. So we have a very generous free
Yeah, of
plan
course.
where you can
All
access
right.
everything and yeah, you can use it as you will.
Okay, so we'll talk about the modern PLG game. Lots changing with AI, probably
Yes.
inside your company, in your product, with your customers, in the go to market with PLG. So we'll talk about that. What's the current revenue and employees? You
Yeah.
say you've got over 100,000 users, freemium included, but
Yeah.
what's the current size of the company?
Totally. So at a glance, we have about 3,000 paying companies. So
Yeah, great.
companies like HP, Siemens, Tenor, Telium, Pokemon. We also have over 150,000 users, as I mentioned, that are on
Yeah.
a mix of different plans. And then revenue-wise, we're a little over 3 million in annual recurring revenue.
Okay. And when did you start this company, Joseph?
We incorporated back in May of 2023. So it's been about 2.5 years of building the company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you kind of got started in the software meets generative AI. game, right? And let's redefine an established category with AI. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that. How many employees roughly?
We're at 18 roughly. Yeah.
Okay, including contractors and things like that, and others that work on the product somewhere
Yeah.
in the world, right? All that. Do you have any outside funding?
We do. So we raised a pre-seed round back when we first started the company because I didn't have any money to bankroll the product myself.
Uh-huh.
So we raised about $1 million back in 2023.
And what does that look like? Was that from angels or was that from an institutional investor that was a really small bet in the modern era, but were those safes or, what kind of
Yeah, so that was an
equity?
institutional round. It was all VCs, and it was on a safe. Funny enough, it seems like a small number, but back then in 2023, I think that was the post ZERP or zero interest
All right.
era, and
Yeah.
people were not willing
Begging
to
for
give out
pennies?
money. Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, I bet. And do you imagine raising more? We've talked about this, but I mean, that's, it's either practical if you don't need any more and you're just going to let it run, or, in New York and the accelerator, safe as a gateway drug to more funding. What do you
Yep.
think
Yeah.
about where that goes?
Yeah, we're being really conscious about this, and I whether it's bootstrapping, whether it's seed strapping or
Yes,
raising more, I never want to say we're like looking at one direction as the only finite path.
very
I'm
practical.
keeping options open. Like
Yeah.
we haven't spent any of our money. We have all the funding that we raised. We're profitable. We're still growing at venture scale outcomes. So for us, as long as we continue growing at the pace that we're growing at and doing it in a capital efficient, profitable way, there's no reason to raise. But also, the market is changing, as you know, Greg. With
Yeah.
AI, everything's up in the air. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to say we're not going to raise it either.
Yeah.
We're just keeping
Yeah,
all
we'll talk
options
about
open.
that. Yes, right. It's a very interesting game. So I can see the faces in the audience out here, the hands raising. Why did you raise if you didn't spend it, right? Because isn't that expensive, and doesn't that kind of nudge you towards a different non-bootstrapper track?
It's that's an interesting question. I think it's never a black and white answer. I think a lot
Yes,
of
of
a
course.
lot of folks mistakenly think that if you raise, you need to get on this hedonic treadmill and you're going to be pressured and forced into raising more. Our investors have never been like that, and we've
Oh,
been
good.
very careful about who we work with. They trust us fully as operators, and yeah, they haven't like pushed us to raise another round. And when I say we didn't spend anything, what I mean is we spent some of it and then we built it back up, right?
There you go.
Profitability.
Way to go, right? Early on, right? The discipline to
Yeah,
get
and
it
and
going.
and the thing is, we didn't have much personal savings to go with, right? I've been like a
Yeah.
founder operator for 6 years before building this company,
Yeah.
and you're not paying yourself $1 million a year when you're doing that, right? So
You
for
think?
me, I didn't have the
You
wherewithal
mean
to
you were
cut it.
paying yourself? That would be the
I was
exception.
paying
Right.
myself, not a
Okay,
lot.
good.
Not a lot.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay, great. So, very exciting. Is this like more than 100% growth a year right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing pretty good growth right now. Yeah.
Okay, very exciting. So it is one of those AI era, starts, software plus AI, and changing things and creating acceleration and efficiencies there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about creating an AI powered company with your experience and inside the business in this era. Because there's a lot of practical founders that got started either way before, the modern AI showed up, or, they're playing with it now and there's a little transformation going on, and so forth. Well, congratulations on getting to, 3 million, and I guess profitable if you've
Yep.
replenished the coffers there in just over 2 years. And on your second venture
Yeah.
here, we'll talk about, where this goes and what you're doing to get that going. There's a lot of questions out there. We'll get nitty-gritty.
Totally.
Let's go back and talk about your background. You said you had a previous venture. You're from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Seoul, Korea, so that's where I
Uh-huh.
grew up. And then I moved at a younger age when I was about 8 to Vancouver, and that's kind of where I grew up and eventually fell in love with entrepreneurship. And I think I was just always enamored with the concept of like building something from nothing. And I didn't
Yeah,
come from the best or the most financially stable background with
yeah,
like a family of immigrants. So
yeah.
in my head, I was always hyper obsessed with like finances or having to like provide for the
Yeah.
family and provide and build my
Very common.
future, even from a young age. And so I did everything from starting my own like organic soy candle company back when I was young, to clothing company, to buying and selling
Like
electronics
in
on
high school or
Craigslist.
younger? Like you were
Yeah,
making ventures? Okay, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I was about 14 or 15 when I
Yeah.
would like arbitrage electronics on Craigslist. So I would like
Okay,
buy
yeah.
electronics in
Yeah.
bulk and meet up with people in parking lots and sell it. I would like bring my 14-year-old girlfriend at the time, and I was 14 at the time, like to come with me to meet up with people selling
Yeah.
iPads
Yeah.
and computers. It was a wild time, but that's how I actually paid for university. I had like saved up enough money and got my first couple $1,000s to seed, I guess, my education. And
Like everybody in Vancouver, did you end up at UBC, University of
yeah,
British Columbia?
hey,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, my alma mater. Yeah, so I did 3
Yeah.
years at UBC, and actually in my last year of university is when I started my first kind of venture-backed
Yeah.
company.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was actually a B2B marketplace for seafood. So we connected fishermen, seafood companies to restaurants, and we would coordinate the logistics of getting fish from point A to B to C to D using our technology. So think like Uber for seafood.
Yeah.
In practice, what that meant was me buying a Ford F-150 initially,
Yeah. Running around?
picking up fish and, thousands of pounds of fish in the back, getting yelled at by chefs and delivering fish. Yeah, that was a good time.
This episode is brought to you by my friends at LaunchBay. LaunchBay is built for B2B software companies where client onboarding is hands-on and messy. Think data collection, setup steps, approvals, training, and customization. If you're currently juggling onboarding through email threads, spreadsheets, shared docs, and way too many check-in meetings, LaunchBay pulls all of that into one clear system. It gives both your team and your clients full visibility into what's happening. It automates follow-ups and approvals and helps you onboard customers faster without adding more people or process overhead. Hundreds of practical software companies use LaunchBay to deliver a consistent, professional onboarding experience every time, so customers get value faster and teams stay sane. You can check it out at launchbay.com/practical and get 25% off the first 3 months of any LaunchBay plan. Now back to our podcast. Yeah, was this like your college idea? I know you had a friend involved in that. Maybe they
Yeah.
were involved in the fishing industry there, but and you raised funding? Like, how much did you raise?
Yeah,
Like in
collectively
the,
we raised
go
about
around, pass the hat, do the pitch competitions, all that stuff?
we did all of that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think collectively we raised about 2 million Canadian, which
Yeah.
God knows what that is in USD nowadays. That's
Yeah, a
crazy.
lot less. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, we ended up going through Techstars. We ended up going through a few
Okay.
accelerator programs.
Yeah.
And then we did a massive pivot in the height of the pandemic because, as you know, every restaurant shut
But you
down.
got Freshline up and running. It was working product, people
Yes, yeah.
transacting as a marketplace, getting a piece of that, I guess.
Yeah, no, we were doing millions in revenue.
Okay.
So things were starting to scale, and we had a team of about 15 people. And yeah, when the pandemic hit, we went from millions to essentially zero overnight. Had to pivot the
As
company.
transactions, that's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up pivoting probably 4 or 5 times and
Okay.
eventually settled on what the business is today. And my co-founder, my business partner, runs the company today profitably, steady growth. Not a venture track, but a
Yeah.
steady kind of lifestyle company that he still runs today.
And so you decided to get off that train. Was that like, you don't need me anymore, or my work here is done, or I've got a new ambition, see
Yeah.
you later? What, let's say fish or cut bait here, but like you moved on and then moved to
Yeah.
New York City. Was it a matter of just ambition? You're looking for a bigger thing?
Yeah. I think for me, while I was younger, I think the number one thing for me was I want to be in a position where I'm like growing and challenging myself. And I felt like the type of business we were running, as well as the cap on what we were able to do, the
Yeah.
flexibility in what we were able to do was not stunting, but limiting my ability
Oh,
to just
sure.
grow. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have anything planned out, but I just I told my co-founder a year in advance and did everything I could to put them in a good position. And
Yeah.
I would say I wandered the wilderness for about 6 months trying to figure out what do I do next, and I had a bit of an existential crisis.
So
Um,
what was your version of that? Like, it's almost predictable, but like, where you left and you're unmoored and didn't know what the next thing is
yeah.
between trapezes. We say, let go of something, don't have the new quest, to dig into. Was it, having to do odd jobs to in consulting or something to
Yeah,
make a
well,
living, or just where's the next opportunity?
the first thing was I actually wanted to be a kid to a certain extent. I think I was, like,
And a little
mid-20s
fun.
when I left, and, I felt like and my family felt like this too, like, their worry for me was I had grown up too quickly, always building businesses and doing different things, and, I had employees with mortgages when I was, like, 21, and, I think I missed that serendipity of just being a like, a kid in their early mid-20s, and so I traveled the world for a little bit, just doing nothing, and then I came back to the drawing board, and I was actually much more
Good
refreshed
for
as a
you.
result of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and just
Would you
ideas.
recommend that? I mean, this is your own journey, but like, to get a little space and, let go, I guess, before you
Yes,
yeah.
I think so, because I think as founders, as operators, we're oftentimes, like, operating in an echo chamber. So even in this era of AI, you're like, "Oh my goodness, my business is doomed," or "This is
Yeah,
happening," or
yeah,
"That is
yeah,
happening."
yeah.
And you look beyond the confines of this, like, black box you're in, and you're like, "The world is a huge place, and there's still so much opportunity. You're not gonna just get wiped out or die."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you gotta get out of the echo chamber sometimes and just open your horizons.
Well, I could say this is a good thing to go through that humbling, painful, exciting, journey and then realize this isn't the style of business I wanna create
Yeah.
early on, right? And not be stuck in it for the next 10 years. And, like, if all your net worth if it got more traction and you raised more funding, you would have a longer haul,
Yeah.
to get out of it, but you were able to get onto a new thing and, kinda create something that fit your style better,
Yep.
you know? Which in your early 20s, that's a very high opportunity cost to be stuck in a business that isn't your best fit.
Yes.
Founder founder business fit there. So Freshline is growing and didn't die outright and found a new home there. You said Super Demo was part of your experience of doing those software demos and all of that. Tell us about your epiphany to say, "I got a lot of ideas, but this is probably a good one."
Yeah, well, it wasn't the only idea that I had. I had
Right.
probably
Mm.
5 or 6 ideas that I was running, and, when I came back from my trip, I was very deliberate about running kind of a process to figure out who do I wanna work with and what are the markets that I'm best equipped or best fit to
Yeah, way to
work
go,
in.
founder. Yeah.
And in addition to that, what's growing? Because if you have a big market, but, maybe it's not as fast growing or you're not riding the wave, you're not gonna be able to seize the opportunity as well as maybe, for example, the Gen AI market where just by riding the wave or operating within a market that is
Yeah.
naturally growing on its own, you're gonna be able to take advantage and kinda grab the bull by its horn, so
Well, that's the old
yeah.
discussion. Is it the founders you bet on for VCs, or is it the market? And most venture investors, when they talk about it, if you really get down to it, they want big markets
Yeah.
because, it's hard to really know if a founder's got the thing, but a great founder in a crappy market isn't gonna make much progress. But, there's all kinds of people that make progress when the tide is going up, right? And the wave
Agreed.
is happening. So, you timed your wave pretty you got early enough on the wave
Yeah,
to play this game here.
totally.
Did you actually see that? Did you see, okay, OpenAI and Claude and all of this are iterating and accelerating, and now is the time, the game has changed? I mean, that's the story out there, but, like, did
Yeah.
you describe it like that? Like, I could redefine this established category with this modern approach, and I'll be faster than the rest of these guys?
A little bit, and I think the biggest thing that I saw was, number 1, this was a problem that I had as a founder, and every other founder that I talked to had this problem, and they hated, like, screen recordings, they hated creating tutorials.
Okay, I hate, that's a
Um
good word. I
Yeah,
yeah,
and the thing is, oftentimes, it would be a problem in their, like, list, but it would be, like, 4th or 5th. So it wouldn't be a top 3 problem where they would solve it themselves, but it was strong enough where they would probably pay someone to just get rid of that problem for them. So I knew, okay, there's enough, like, breadth here in terms of people
Mm,
experience the problem. And the second piece when it comes to the market was not necessarily like AI is going to create a boom, but it was more so more and more people are creating businesses, and everyone needs to demonstrate the benefits of their business, how it works, why it matters. And AI is just accelerating that today, right? It's easier than ever to create the business. It's harder to distribute and tell the story.
I agree with
That's
that.
kind of
Right.
where
That's
we come in to
yeah.
help.
Yeah. Great. Uh, so did you and a pal start this and code something and get some friends and sell to your founder friends and do that MVP stuff, or how did this get started?
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of after we settled on this idea, and again, I ran like a March Madness bracket of many different ideas and
Good for you.
co-founders.
Yes. Yes.
Eventually, this one, and I ended up going on this part time and eventually full time. But I think in terms of the playbook, there was no like silver bullet to how we grew. I'd say
Yeah.
if I had to distill it down, it was like threefold. One was just low hanging fruit, capture the obvious demand first. So think about all the different places where our ICP founders, friends are hanging out. So reach out to founders, post in Reddit, build in public in LinkedIn,
Yeah.
go to indie
Mhm.
hackers,
Right.
and really shouting from the
Get
rooftops.
on
And
podcasts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one of them. And then two was just like, how can we, when we're there, lower the bar or lower the friction and make it almost impossible for like early adopters to say no to us. So
Hmm.
for me
How
that
did you do
was
that? That's a great one, right? Getting those first conversations. We got a newfangled thing. It's lower on your list. How do you get somebody's darn attention, especially a
yeah,
busy,
yeah.
strapped founder?
Well, you do the work for them, bar none, right? So for me, what that was, to give you a few different examples. One was like posting on Reddit or indie hackers. That's
Yep.
where
Yep.
early customers hung out. And I would say, if you literally post your URL to your product, I will sign up for your product. I will like research into it and I will build a product demo using Super Demo of your product. And I'm going to respond in line with my URL of your product. So that
Yeah.
creates a bit of a flywheel because other people see it and they're like, oh, that's a cool demo.
A little
I'm going to,
gift. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. So it makes it hard for them to say no because I'm doing the work for them. Similarly, like product updates, making a list of like our dream customers or dream products, signing up for all of their like change logs and product updates. And then when they're sending like new product updates, a lot of the times they're like very generic, vague screenshots of like the new feature. You
Yep.
don't really understand what it is. So I would sign up and create a demo of that new update and say, you should replace that screenshot that no one understands with this click through, 5 click through demo of why this feature matters. And that's going to drive adoption. And then I would respond to the email, the change log with it and not asking them to sign up, not asking them to like pay me.
Yeah.
I'd start with value and then say, if you want, you can claim it just by signing up and click duplicate on the demo.
So when you did that, that's great. So this is I talk to founders every week that say, "All right, I got something and I got a couple customers, but now how do I get my flywheel going?" Right, and this is one way to do it. When you signed up for somebody's product, said, "I'll do it for you," and they said, "Yes, do that, Joseph." How long did it take for you looking at the website, signing up, getting onboarded to create something that you could send to them that would be obviously better, right? The 2-minute
Yeah.
demo or whatever. Was that like a 30-minute process with your early crude
No,
tool?
less, like maybe 10 minutes. I became
Okay,
an
so
expert.
that's yeah, right. I'm sure it's faster now, but
Yeah.
like, with your tool, but like, and what would they see from that 10-minute work that you did when you posted the URL that would make them go, "Wow, that's different."
Yeah. So what I would do is I would like brand the entire experience. So
Okay,
when they look at the demo link, as soon as they click it, it's gonna have their logo on the top left. It's gonna have a CTA with their website and colors on the top right.
okay.
It's gonna have the click through demo with like a beautiful chapter explaining like, welcome to the I don't know, Claude.
Annotated, yeah, all that, yeah.
Exactly. So all of them it would be in their theme so that they could click through, and I would make it short enough where they could get from A to B in like 5, 6 clicks. And again,
And
this
you because 'cause
was
you're
what
asking them, "Okay, take over, click here, and see
exactly.
this, and then this is what this is, click here," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. Thanks for that. That's like a tactical hack there
Yeah.
that applies to your product. Like, it's a show and tell kind of thing, and
Like,
you went and did it for them. Do and tell. kind of thing there.
Yeah.
So when somebody pays for it, about how much is it? Is this like $99 a month, $300 a month?
It's a wide range. So we
Okay,
price based on tiers, which
of
are
course.
stratified based on features, as well as seats. So it starts from as low as obviously free. A
Okay,
lot of people use the free plan. Goes up to like $38 on the first tier, and then to 350, which includes a basket of seats for more fast-growing
okay,
startups
yeah,
and enterprises, to
yeah.
larger plans as well.
Okay, great. So when you have a demo, when somebody sees a demo, right, and they're pushing it out, and it has their logo and their branding and their, CTA, click through, next step. Does it have your logo and this was created by Superdemo somewhere down there? That
There's a little
little
watermark, yeah. The
okay,
URL obviously is Superdemo, and then there's a watermark at the bottom right that says, "Made in Superdemo," essentially.
okay. Is that part of your go-to-market as well as get the viral loop happening?
Yes. So that's probably what brings in about 30-40% of traffic
Excellent.
across the board. And we actually use it in a variety of different ways. One is obviously the built in viral loop. People create demos not to keep it confined to their
Yeah. Mhm.
organization, but to share it with colleagues, share it with customers, share it with prospects. So when
Mhm.
other people click through it, they're like, whoa, that was really easy. That was really great. How do I download this? Or they think of their own use cases for the product itself.
Mhm.
And the other piece is the free plan. Obviously, we plaster the branding on the free plans.
There we go. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We also do things like free tools or programmatic SEO. So what I mean by that is, we'll look at like adjacent markets outside of product demos, like screen
Mhm.
recordings, screenshots, employee manuals. There's a lot of search terms and people looking for solutions in that space. So what we did is we made our entire product experience ungated. So anyone could start using the product without even having to sign up.
Mhm.
And we would embed the portion of the product that would kind of address the job to be done. So, for example, like taking online screenshots, we would
Mhm.
embed it on a page that is optimized for that keyword, free online screenshot tool. And then people could actually start capturing screenshots, editing screenshots, sharing
Interesting.
screenshots online. And then it would have a watermark. It's like, hey, this was created using Super Demo. Do you want to find other tools or learn more? And then they
So
click.
is that a separate tool that's used for marketing, conversion and top of funnel, or is that a feature of your product that you can expose at that angle?
The latter, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, you're getting all over it. So you have almost 20 employees. What percentage of them are working on product, design, coding,
Rough.
QA, all this kind of thing? Presumably, you're very AI enabled in
Yeah.
your back, the coding and your infrastructure and all that. But like, what percentage of your company sounds pretty product led?
It is very product led. I'd say roughly 60%
Okay.
of the company is in engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any marketing people or an inside salesperson to deal
We're
with those
just
things?
starting to build out that function now. So a lot of
Okay.
we had a growth marketer join us. We had a AE join us recently, like within the last month or two
Okay, look
months.
at
Yeah.
you. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, which guy are you? You're probably the scrappy go-to-market, you've done all the demos and made most of the website, and you're doing the SEO and, all this kind of thing, and you've got your PLG, tracking and experience, management, conversion management going on there. But is that you? Is that the guy that scraps all this stuff together and, eventually tells your coders what to build next?
Yeah, cleaning the office as well. That's
Yes, right.
the
Uh-huh.
task.
Little payroll, little all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I just try to be the glue person. Obviously, I don't take credit for everything that's happening at the company.
Okay.
The team members are the ones executing. I try to help where I can, code if I need to. I'll do marketing or GTM if I need to. Talk to customers, obviously, if I need to
Mhm.
onboard folks. So anything the business needs to drive in the right
Yeah.
direction quickly, that's what I'll do.
Okay. So you're in the process of you did it all yourself, and now you've been hiring slowly, outside of the development team. What was the first hire that you made outside of the dev and product side?
Well, the first few were all in the engineering side. I would say the
Yeah.
first person meaningful person we brought on was our head of growth.
Okay.
So he helped scale and I guess professionalize a lot of the things that I was
Okay.
doing because I was very much like spray and pray. I'm gonna do a little bit of everything and
Yeah.
get it up to a
No,
certain
founder
level,
mode. Yeah.
help scale it. Yeah.
Did you spray and pray and then see what's working and then find somebody who could do more of those things? Is that the sequence?
Yeah.
Or yeah, uh-huh.
Totally, yeah, and that's how we still run things today.
Okay.
So when we run experiments, it's all about spray and pray, measure, figure out what's working, and then number one, we should be either stopping it if it's not working. You want to scale it if it is working, like next lever in the experiment, or you just if it's working and you want to have focus on other priority items, you just continue to run it, ceteris paribus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sensing from the audience all the low price products that they need a lot of volume. They might have freemium. You got to have a lot of top of funnel there, a
Yeah.
lot of visits, a lot of traction, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How did you find a head of growth that could actually do stuff and not just talk about it? Was this somebody you knew before, or how did you
No,
how
no.
did you recruit a successful head of growth for that early scrappy, get me another 100,000 freemium users, right?
Yeah, it's a really hard role to try to
Yes.
hire for.
Mhm.
What you wanna try to hire for is, like, an operator, because I think the job description that you create is not gonna be the job description tomorrow or, like, in the next year. The startup is so fluid and changing all the time. You just need to find someone that's done a lot of what you've done, of, like, going 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, and is bought into the understanding that, they're gonna have to do a lot of grunt work, a lot of
Yeah.
figuring it out. They're not gonna be going off of a checklist or a to-do list, and, we're lucky to have
Not have
found
a big team and a big budget.
exactly. So, finding someone that hasn't been just, like, stuck in a managerial role or wants to be a manager, but someone who is kind of a player coach, I would say is a good way to call
Yeah,
it, like,
yeah.
helping coach new people as they come in and doing that, but also being a player and
And
doing the
how
work.
did you find this person? That's a really difficult thing, and that's usually what we settle on, and we say, "All right, now, gosh, do I have to recruit and talk to 1,000 people to find the one?" Or how did you get there?
It's a full-time job, right? If you wanna
Recruiting.
hire the right people, you need to treat it like a full-time endeavor, and for me, it was all, again, cast a wide net,
Pray and
and
pray.
one of the values of being remote is you get to tap into talent centers outside of just your own, and so our head of growth, he, actually lives in, Seoul in Korea.
Oh, great.
He's actually from the Netherlands, but he lives in, Korea, which is funny. And,
Yeah,
yeah, we did, like, the job postings, we would plaster it on LinkedIn on my own personal feed. I would go and DM,
okay.
like, every person I knew that, I thought would be a fit, and, I can't remember exactly which channel he came through, but,
Yeah,
he had all the types of experiences and kinda the hunger that we were looking for, so
yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for sharing that here. What would you say your model is right now? Get a lot of top of funnel from all these SEO keywords and anywhere else you can get somebody's attention now and get, you know, million people on your website a year to get another 100,000 free trials to get to 5,000 paid. Like, what is, I
Yeah.
don't know, a simple version of your funnel?
We're actually tackling it from 2 sides now because I think
Good.
naturally as we have built up more momentum and I guess like brand recognition and eminence, we're getting more and more larger enterprises looking for this solution because that's a very natural fit because they
Yeah.
have
Mhm.
scale when it comes to training and doing demos, et cetera, et cetera. So a large cohort of our customers and their revenue growth now is from enterprise deals or larger companies. So we're trying to tackle it from both sides, so bottoms up and top down, and doing a little bit of proactive outreach, doing kind of warm outbound, and trying to grow the demo funnel of us actually having more of a curated flow there. But also, I think our bread and butter has to be the PLG because that's what creates the foundation and the stability. Because enterprises, the deal size, the deal cycle, the procurement process, a lot of it's kind of out of your control. So if you want stability of your growth rate, then you're gonna have to have a good influx of bottoms up,
Yeah.
in order to keep things stable and
Volume consistent kind of thing there.
yes.
Yeah. What would you say your I don't know. What can you talk about share a conversion rate that's, you've kind of got in the zone or it's least acceptable now, whether it's free to paid or I don't know, something else. Maybe that's private information, but give a sense for, you know, how your funnel converts.
Yeah, so I think I have the metrics here. I don't know a lot of them off like top of my head, but
Yeah, yeah.
roughly when it comes to like free to paid, we see close to 30%. We hover around 30%
Really?
free to paid, and we do
Yeah.
a reverse trial, and I think that helps with that because again,
And
instead
what
of
is a reverse trial for people who haven't heard that term?
yeah, so instead of getting people to like opt into a trial by saying start a free trial or start free, we just naturally put everyone into our highest tier plan. And then that way they
And you
get,
get an email and, a login, but you don't get a credit card?
yep, we don't get a credit card either. Yep. So
Okay.
we just jump right in and they go right to like the
So it's
top.
opt out to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they get to that way they get to try everything and see
Yeah.
based on the plan, what do I need and what do I not need? Because if you start on the free plan, you read about all these features that could be valuable, but you actually don't know what it is. You don't get to try it.
Yeah.
So for us, it's better if they get to try it and self-select, okay, this is valuable, this is not so valuable to me,
Right.
and then figure out which
You wanna keep
plan.
going, here's what you're going down to. Yes.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Great. So it's 2026, you've been doing this in 2025, you know, uh, at a little bit of scale or whatever with a more modern AI-enabled, product here. What's a learning that surprised you from last year about this free to paid? Maybe it's the reverse trial kind of thing or something else, What's changing in this whole PLG game?
I think the biggest learning is there's no gotchas anymore when it comes to like distribution, and there's no like bread and butter channel that is going to work permanently into the future. You have to constantly reinvent yourself. And the biggest learning that I took away was product market fit nowadays has like a finite stamp, like when it comes to like a period of time that it's valid for.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
you got to constantly reinvent your product and constantly be paranoid, essentially,
Yeah.
because the market is changing, new competition is coming about, the dynamics are changing. You can't rest on your laurels. You got to be constantly innovating, like at a faster pace than ever before.
Okay, so and I'm hearing that in go-to-market, it's changing. It used to
Yeah.
change, but not so quickly,
Yeah.
right? And now your product market fit is, I love it, it's cool compared to the rest of the things, but that moves pretty quickly as your competition moves and expectations change pretty quickly as they do in AI land. People are learning what this is now and, their expectations are increasing quickly. And, the pace of the LLMs that are going right now is probably creating some expectation
Yeah.
about how fast things should get better. So you're, I don't know, is that exciting to you in this mode? You're, I guess, playing the speed freak game, like the practical game, like
Yeah.
test,
It's tough.
test, measure, go, cycles.
Yeah, I think in some ways, I think it's really beneficial for companies like ours because I think our team's, I guess, competitive advantage is the ability to move quickly
Okay.
and ship quickly. I think so
Okay.
for us,
What is
because
ship quickly? I mean, is it like you get a sense for something and next week you can have something to apply to that, or is it weeks or months?
yeah, so I think it's combining gut based on like your intel
Mhm.
and context of the industry and tribal knowledge, with some data to act faster, ideally than
Just
anyone
enough
else.
data. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Like not getting into analysis paralysis of like having everything planned out, and shipping something that may be imperfect, but using that as leverage to learn quickly and iterate quickly. I think that's gonna have to be part of everyone's repertoire and playbook moving forward because, again, things are just changing and you gotta be, like, experimenting, like, weekly and shipping daily, essentially.
Okay. There you heard it there. And you're doing it without venture funding. You had a little funding, but you're staying profitable. So you're saying you could do this efficiently, meaning you don't commit to a lot of things. You
Yeah,
test fast, double down quickly, and you gain leverage,
yep.
faster. Is it ever at some point you may say, "Gosh, we could blow this thing up if we raise 10 million or something like that, like a normal venture Series A starting point." Can you even imagine what you would spend a pot of money on like that that would improve things, or is it just, you know,
Yeah.
efficiency is the new game? That's what I'm seeing. It's a very practical speed game these days. It doesn't need venture funding to get the leverage.
Yeah, I would say it's highly context dependent on the industry. If you're
Yes.
building in
Uh-huh.
robotics, you need the funding. Or if you're
Yes,
building
right.
foundation models, or if you're in an industry
Yeah.
that is like a winner takes all, you may need to outspend your competition. If you're not in a winner takes all, it might not be prudent for you to overcapitalize because the biggest thing is you're not going to have optionality if you're like burning, and there's
Yes.
no guarantee that adding more headcount or adding spend translates to growth. And it could actually slow you down in terms of how nimble you are and how quick
Yeah.
you are if you're burdened with expectations or burn
Yeah.
or things you have to do to get to the next round. Not to say that's bad. And there's companies, plenty of companies that have raised lots of money that are still nimble. It just really, I would say it also depends on like what your expectations and ideal outcomes are. Are you trying to build $100 million company? Or are you trying to build a $20 million company? What's the time span at which you're
Yeah.
optimizing for?
Right. I totally understand that about the speed game. And, things do slow down, especially if you commit to the big number and the path to get there. But if you're saying it's changing monthly and I can't really rely on my go to market or my product market fit for
Yeah.
more than a month, it's getting stale very fast.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting pace that's going on here. Joseph, let's talk about what you think. Where do you think this is going? And as a practical founder, you said we've raised enough, but I still have optionality. I could run it for a long time. We could raise some money and go faster. We could go slower. You're still in control. What do you think this could do, right? Where maybe what's the dream and what are the, other scenarios, or
Yeah.
what's your default scenario?
Well, I think by default, we're at like the tip of the iceberg. We're just at the precipice of like what we're able to do in terms of customers we're able to serve, the impact we're able to have. Because,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, 160,000, 170,000 users, that's like a drop in the bucket of a very, very, very big ocean worldwide that
How
could
big do you think the ocean is for this, scenario?
millions of people that we can enable. And I have no doubt that we can get there.
Okay. So
The
it's not
only,
just startups. It's not just big software companies. It's
anyone,
everybody that has software internally,
yeah,
Okay.
any knowledge worker can benefit from our product.
Okay.
And yeah, so for
That
us,
sounds like you're
there's
raising money. It's a really big TAM, right?
yeah, yeah. I guess I'm shaping that narrative, but
Okay, so
yeah,
you're thinking big and moving fast and all of that. Do you think you know, perception of available market, if it's $20,000 to build the demo and it's really hard and it takes months and you only do it twice a year, there's a certain market size for people that want to do that.
yeah,
That's established. But if all of a sudden this is fast and easier and you can do it for 100 more things, the market size gets bigger, right?
yeah. That's a great question. So I think uh, obviously there's like a finite number of demos being created a lot of the times. You don't have a burning demo that you're trying to create every single day.
Yeah.
So for us, and naturally, I think most companies will need to do this is what are all the auxiliary use cases that people do on a day-to-day basis that are a little bit more habitual and additive on top of demos? So things like
That if
taking,
this were a 5-minute thing, it would be
yeah,
very useful, right?
exactly,
So,
yeah, or
yeah,
like screenshots, or like
yeah.
even a video recording where you have like the talking head. So we actually do all of that. So how do we absorb all more and more like auxiliary workflows that are related so that hey, you don't have to have 5, 6, 7 different tools anymore. You can
Uh-huh.
just go to Superdemo, get everything you need, whether it's a high fidelity demo all the way down to like a quick 2-minute bug report or a screen recording you want to do, and trying to build towards this ecosystem where somebody that wants to communicate workflows, demonstrate products or features can get everything they need on one platform. That's kind of the feature that we're building towards.
Okay, great. So, you're in New York City and you've got ambition. It's a big market. It's getting redefined. The race is on. The wave is happening. What do you want to do with this thing? You know, I mean, should this be $100 million company? And is that exciting to you? Or, could you sell this sooner than later now that you have some investors
Yeah.
on the cap table? What do you think?
I have no doubt that it can be $100 million company, and
Okay.
raising money, selling the company, those are all options on the table. I think I'm not optimizing for that type of outcome. Me and
Good.
my co-founder both, I think, love building products. I think the craftsmanship, the process of like shipping, I think that's what excites us. So as long as we're growing and maintaining momentum, and I think learning every day, which we definitely are, we're making a lot of mistakes
Hmm.
and getting a lot of wins too. I think as long as there's runway there for us to continue manifesting that, I think we want to continue down this path. And if something happens, a year or 2 years, one of those options, we'll definitely consider it and look at that. But we're not saying, hey, we have to sell in this number of years, or we have to raise money, or we have to take it bootstrapped. It doesn't have to be so black or white, in our opinion.
Yeah, great. Of course, that's the practical way. You own the asset, and you have kept your optionality and your
Yeah.
independence in the control to do it your way. Do you think you could keep up a 100% plus growth rate for a few years and double, 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 or something like that?
I mean, we're trying to.
Yeah.
I can't predict the market. I think that's the biggest thing. I know what I believe strongly in is our execution and our ability to move quickly. Whether that is enough in tomorrow's market, I don't know, because models, even with like Opus 4.6 and Codex that came out, there's just so much changing that it's all you can do is staying nimble, staying lean, and staying profitable. I think that's kind of the recipe to durability of a business. So that's the path we're taking for now. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to, obviously, and I'm confident in our team, but
Yeah.
never know.
Durability is a great word. It's
Yeah.
a very practical founder word that you can withstand some crazy competition, some overfunded competition, some COVID crisis for whatever industry that happens there.
Yeah.
So you say you're an AI first kind of company there. Like, are you right there with what's happening with the models this last week and
Yeah.
how you could leverage that in your product and how you create a framework to leverage generative AI, agnostically in your product architecture? Are you guys very forward on that and like kind of up to the minute with the latest and greatest, or how fast are you guys moving there?
We try to be. I think as long as I think the tools and the systems that we're adopting are secure, I think security is one of our biggest tenants and focus areas with the number
Okay.
of customers we have. I think we do try to stay bleeding edge, and we try to use the best tool at that point in time. We're not
Yes.
beholden to using OpenAI or Claude. I think it depends on what's leading in that market. And for us, I think it's almost disingenuous for us to build like for an AI first feature and say we are an AI driven product without living and breathing it ourselves.
Yes.
So
Okay,
we
just
use
check
it
it.
across the
Right.
stack of
Right.
everything we do. Like right before this call, I was using Claude Code for a bunch of like growth and marketing related tasks. My co-founders and my co-founder and my engineers, they use it in their day-to-day
Yeah.
programming workflow. So yeah.
Okay. And, how do you do this if your team you have it's not 3 people, it's closer to 20. Is there somebody whose main job it is to stay on the innovation side, to be trying stuff out every day and seeing what it is and, right, trying to get it into production? You kinda divide up the bleeding edge innovator or 2, and the rest of the team that's building to the day, or is everybody going back and forth with what's new and what do I need to do today?
Yeah, I think the ideas and concepts have to come from everyone.
Okay.
And for us, that kind of is built into the DNA and the culture of our company.
Okay, excellent.
So everyone needs to experiment. Everyone needs to be kind of looking out, because then if I'm the only one suggesting things, again, it's an echo chamber.
There you go. Does that mean that they spend, I don't know, some percentage of their time, seeing what just came down, checking the latest thing and exploring around and, we used to have the crazy experimentation days for 1 day a week or something like that, but, you know, and you're not specializing. You keep everybody play with the new stuff and use it yourself, and you're diversified there, but, like, is that just a cultural thing? It's maybe halftime playing and seeing and learning and halftime, you know,
Yeah, we try to
coding?
budget in time. We definitely budget in like buffer
Okay.
time in all work and we actively encourage people to, even if that experiment they're doing is not actually being used in production in any capacity, we tell them to spend the time doing that, because that's again tribal knowledge and learning that they have, and they can also distill to other people. And we also have like a Slack channel where we have
Yeah. Tried
different
this, did
ideas.
this,
Yeah.
cool stuff. Yeah, right.
Find something new, just drop it in there. It might not be relevant to you, but it might really be relevant to someone else on the team. So yeah, we have like a repository there.
What do you think your advantage is in the long run? Is it the culture and innovation and speed and closeness to your customer, or versus big companies using Claude Code to do it themselves or a
Yeah.
leaner, faster competitor? What do you think your advantage is that you're protecting?
I think the biggest advantage is, yeah, ability to move quickly and iterate and having that customer obsession. And through that, you end up building a really delightful, simple, and easy product that has high degrees of craftsmanship. So, product craftsmanship and the quality of
Yeah.
our product is what I care about a lot.
The standard's way higher, I think, for,
It is.
in this new world. Yes, for
Yeah,
what people expect and what you can do and, how important that is.
totally.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing your story, Joseph. Very exciting. You're off and running. You've got a valuable business already. Your investors are grateful they got in when you needed a little cash and you didn't take too much and you're still running it in just your way. You've got a very modern company. And it's moving at a faster speed, and you're becoming one of the cool kids there. 100% plus growth isn't even the top tier of the latest AI driven 10x, 20x growth, but, it's very respectable and very valuable as well. What advice do you give? You probably go to meetups and I don't know if you're speaking to founders these days and all of that for practical founders out there who are not, they want to get on the either new founders or they've got something up and running. They want to get on this Gen AI wave. They see it, they know it, they want to move faster. What's my advice you give them most often that, let's say, could be generalized?
Hmm. I'd say the one that I tell people the most is the biggest tip is just to like get going and start, even when your product is imperfect. I think the earlier you can start, the more you're gonna benefit from compounding and
Yeah.
feedback. And as part of that, I think a lot of people obsess over the competition. So they're like, "Oh, this company's doing that, or this company's doing that, so I can't." So I think uh, also don't obsess so much over the competition and just start building. Because I think if you have the right problem, if you have the right idea space, and there's good founder market fit, there's a lot of market out there for everyone. And a lot of companies die by suicide, right, rather than murder. So co-founder conflict, their own internal doing, rather than a competitor and just obliterating your market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. So you found a big enough space that you can, and people probably give you feedback faster. Some,
yeah,
that help the cycle move pretty quickly there.
totally.
So awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story on the Practical Founders podcast. People can check it out at supademo.com, and we'll be watching your progress.
Cool. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for watching this week's interview on the Practical Founders podcast. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the Practical Founders YouTube channel to keep up with my weekly in-depth interviews with serious software founders who are building valuable software companies without big funding. You can check out my blog, all the podcast episodes, and information about my Practical Founders CEO peer groups at practicalfounders.com, or message me on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. See you next week.